And I'm already losing light. Winter in Minnesota, people. Winter in Minnesota. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm actually reviewing a brand new foundation from Covergirl. It's called the Full Spectrum Matte Ambition Foundation. Did you even know that Covergirl came out with a brand new foundation? Because I have yet to hear anyone talk about this. I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw an ad for this and I was like, that's new, it's matte, I need to review it. So I immediately went on Ulta, bought it. I've been testing it for the past week, so I actually have a lot of thoughts on it that I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to show you myself applying it. Also, I'm going to compare it to the Covergirl 3-in-1 foundation, which has been around. Oh, they don't call it the 3-in-1 anymore. It's just the Outlast All Day Stay Fabulous foundation. But I compare the two. I have one on one half of my face, one on the other half. I'll give you all my thoughts. If you are new to my channel, I do a lot of foundation reviews. Do I have a foundation obsession? Yes. Do I own more than 20? No comment. If by chance you found my channel on your own and not through my Instagram, I do just want to let you know I'm a lot more active on Instagram. It's just oh hey this too. I will link my Instagram down below in the description box. I also post stories on there pretty regularly, so you can just keep up with me over there. Okay, so when I first saw this foundation, I was like, all right, it's a matte foundation from Covergirl. It's supposed to be pretty full coverage. How is that different than their Outlast foundation? And also, how is it different than their matte made foundation, which I don't own, but that's also a matte full coverage foundation from Covergirl. So I asked the brand, and this is what they said. So great social media management, Covergirl. Really good job, good job. When you go online and read the descriptions of the products, the only difference that I can find is that this one has SPF, this one does not. That's the only claim that differs between the foundations. This one has a shit shade range, and this one has a better shade range, and the undertones seem to be a lot better. If you've ever used a Covergirl foundation before, you probably know they just have weird undertones, and they oxidize terribly. So this line has better undertones. I think that's what they're going for with the name Full Spectrum. It's just supposed to be like more inclusive, better colors. But like, why didn't they just do that for this? So I do like to see that Covergirl is trying to expand their shade ranges, but when all your foundations oxidize to be orange anyway, it really doesn't matter. The packaging of this new foundation is identical to the Covergirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir, other than the white and the gold. This is all black, but like the shape of the packaging, exactly the same. And I think the packaging is nice. I like the really minimal lettering on here. One thing to note is if you're looking for this foundation on Ulta, it's not listed under Covergirl. It's listed as the brand being this full spectrum thing, and then the foundation's called Matte Ambition. It doesn't say Covergirl anywhere in the description on Ulta, but it is a Covergirl foundation. It says it right here. So that's just something to note. Next, I'm going to quickly talk about the ingredients of both of these foundations, as well as this one actually, and the matte made one, because I kind of went down a rabbit hole and I just dove deep into the ingredients of these three because I was just trying to figure out what's different about all of them since the brand won't tell me. And then after we talk about ingredients, I will talk about my thoughts on the foundation and I will show you myself applying it. I will also show you how it looks at the end of the day after a full day of wear. But just so you know, in case I didn't mention it earlier, I do have one of them on one half of my face and the other on the other half. You probably cannot tell. So ingredients, here we go. So I know this document that I'm showing on the screen right now looks incredibly confusing and messy and so ugly also, but it was just kind of my notes that I just needed to keep track of everything. You're not gonna care about every single ingredient. We're not gonna dive that deep. I'm just going to tell you the gist of it. We have the Full Spectrum foundation, the new one, the Outlast foundation, which has been around for a long time, and the Matte Made foundation, which came out sometime this past year. So between the Full Spectrum and the Outlast foundation, the first 10 ingredients, so what there's the most of in the foundation, are the same but in a very slightly different order. And then the rest of the list, there's a lot of similarities, but there are some differences. Again, the big one being that the one has sunscreen. The new Full Spectrum does not have sunscreen. So next I wanted to compare the Outlast foundation, this one, to the Matte Made foundation, which I have not ever used. And I found something really interesting. This foundation and the Matte Made foundation, the first 11 ingredients are the exact same in the exact same order, and then the rest of the way down the list, there are only 2 ingredients that are different. Everything else is the exact same and the exact same in order. So like, I'm just saying, this is the same foundation as the Matte Made foundation, if you've ever wondered that. And then just out of curiosity, I wanted to see what was different about the Healthy Elixir as far as ingredients go. So I compared the Healthy Elixir to the Outlast foundation. The first like 9 ingredients are basically the same, but then there are quite a bit of differences between the two. This one definitely is less matte and less oil controlling. Basically, the Outlast foundation and the Matte Made are almost identical. These two are also very, very, very similar, but one has sunscreen, one doesn't. Further down the ingredient list, though, there are some differences, and I'm not a chemist. And also, even the ones that are in the same order, there might be different amounts of things in the 2 foundations. So I still wanted to obviously test them out on my face and see if they apply different, if they have different coverage, different finish, different wear time. So now I will show you myself applying them to my face. Alright, while I'm applying these to my face, I'm just going to tell you my thoughts about the foundation. I have actually gone through an entire tube of the Outlast foundation a couple years ago. I really love it. It's one of my favorite foundations as far as oil controlling. It's one of the best oil controlling foundations out there. Truly my only issue with it was that it oxidized so bad that I just didn't want to repurchase it. But the finish is beautiful. It's super smoothing. It doesn't exaggerate pores or fine lines. Your skin just looks good when you're wearing this. I would say it has low full coverage where your spots do still show through, but barely. Not only is this foundation super oil controlling, but it is very matte. This is not one of those foundations where you put it on and you're like, it's matte, but still like kind of satiny glowy. Like, no, this is a matte foundation, which some people like. There are days when I like it, there are days when I want something a little more glowy, but as a really oily skin person, I can appreciate a good matte foundation. I forgot to mention earlier, but my entire face is primed with the Smashbox Photo Finish Priming Water, as always with my foundation reviews. Alright, so then on the other half of my face, I'm applying the new Matte Ambition Full Spectrum Foundation. And then I am using a brush with both of these. I like both these foundations with a brush and a beauty blender, but I just find that I get better coverage and it soaks up less product when I use a brush than with a beauty blender, so that's what I tend to use with these, but I like it with both. And then hopefully you can see that this foundation applies exactly the same as the other one. I never have any issues with patchiness, streakiness, nothing. They both blend out beautifully. They both have the exact same matte finish, same amount of coverage, a low full coverage. They apply the same, they have the same scent. They both just kind of smell foundation-y. They're not like fragranced. They both have the same amount of wear. I've been putting one of these on one half of my face and the other on the other half of my face for a couple weeks now, and I have yet to notice any difference. The only difference that I noticed between these two foundations is that the new Full Spectrum one is just slightly more yellow toned and less peachy undertone, which I do prefer. But that's the only difference that I can spot between these foundations. And both of them do still oxidize. So I would just recommend that if you're going for one of these, you buy a shade lighter than you think you're going to need. And be really mindful to blend it down your neck because you don't want to like have a harsh line show up on your jawline halfway through the day. Alright, so it is actually a different night. I completely forgot to film at the end of the night to show how the foundations wore. So it's a different day. I put them on, oh my god, like 14 hours ago. It has been 14 hours and the foundations have worn off a little bit on both sides equally. They're not like the most long wearing. Editing sounder here, I do just want to note that this foundation does last really well for the first like 8 to 10 hours, like a normal day's wear. I had been wearing this for a super long time, so it's pretty worn off. If you are looking for a foundation that's really long wearing and oil controlling, I would recommend any of the Revlon Color Stay line. But this one is decently long wearing. But overall, my skin looks really good. Like my blush and bronzer and highlighter are all still on. Nala's mad at me because I'm ignoring her. But I just wanted to show you, the main thing I wanted to show you is I am not oily. There's no oil happening on my cheeks. It's crazy. And that is all because of the foundations. Normally, 4 hours in, I am a grease slick, but we're like 14 hours in and there's no oil coming through this foundation. It's amazing. Alright, now to wrap it up. Basically, we've determined there's such little difference between these foundations. It's kind of crazy. If you own this foundation, there's no need to go out and purchase this one. If you've always wanted to try this foundation but you could never find your shade, now's your chance. CoverGirl is cruelty-free now, which is amazing that such a huge brand became cruelty-free. Like, you're seeing these other brands leave being cruelty-free, and so the fact that CoverGirl did that is super awesome and makes me a lot more wanting to use their products. My final thoughts, would I recommend these foundations? If you are really struggling to find a foundation that works for oily skin and you want a cruelty-free drugstore option, yes, I would purchase this foundation. I think it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. Just make sure you bronze up the neck and maybe buy a shade lighter than what you would normally buy. Between the two, which one would I buy? This one costs $1 more. This one has sunscreen. This one has a lot more shades. So that's just gonna have to be up to you and what you need and want in a foundation. But as far as everything that I've mentioned in this video, they're the same. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope I didn't repeat myself too many times. I'm trying to get better at that. But filming YouTube videos is really difficult because unless you have it scripted out of exactly what you want to talk about, it's really hard to just like make sure you hit all the points in an order that makes sense. I don't know. I'm getting better at it, but I still need some practice. So I'm gonna just keep uploading and working on it and getting better and better. If you like foundation reviews on people with oily skin and acne scars, my skin's actually doing really good right now, like compared to usual, but I do struggle with acne. So if you like foundation reviews for that type of skin, I will link a bunch of them below in the description box. Please comment below and tell me if you have tried any of these CoverGirl foundations. I would love to know your thoughts. Have you tried both? Did you also think they were the same? Like I said before, more of the action happens over on my Instagram, so go check that out, and thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.